It's now been a couple of days since the Timberwolves season officially ended, and I think it's pretty obvious what the Wolves need to do. This current core was designed to beat a team that is no longer the top dog in the West. And I'm talking about the Denver Nuggets. We built this team to beat the Denver Nuggets. The problem is the Denver Nuggets are not the biggest threat anymore. It is now the OKC Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs. And I don't think that's necessarily up for debate. I mean, I guess you could open that up to debate, but I don't think that there is really a debate between who is the top dog. With that being said, there needs to be some very major changes to this roster if we're now going to compete with this new style of Western Conference basketball. So I have a list of about 5 things that I think the Timberwolves should or should not do this offseason to have a perfect offseason, as well as now get re-competitive in the Western Conference. Starting with number 1, and this has been my biggest gripe for multiple years now, it's trade Rudy Gobert. You're not going to get value back that you traded away for him, but I think it's time that we trade Rudy Gobert to get more switchable. I just do not think that he is a solid defender when it comes to the perimeter. I don't think that's a hot take, but to have a player who, yes, we've designed our defense around, but he can't guard anybody except for centers, especially with these more agile centers. Victor Wembanyama kind of had his way with him beyond game 1. I think it's time that we go the path of the rest of the NBA and have 5 guys on the court at all time that can switch at least 4 positions. I'm not saying that we necessarily need a center that can guard a point guard, much like we don't need a point guard that can guard a center, but Rudy Gobert really can only guard a 4 or 5, especially when you get him outside of the paint. Now, while searching for what's been rumored and what's out there, Yahoo has absolutely lost their mind, it seems like, and if these are trades that are on the table, especially this Boston Celtics one, do it no questions asked. If there's a world we can get Jaylen Brown and Peyton Pritchard for Rudy Gobert and 2 first-round picks, 100% we're doing it. I don't think that that is a realistic trade. Again, even if we can get LaMelo Ball, I think that's something we do. And Kyrie Irving, who I'll talk about later, again, I think that's also a trade that we do. I personally, maybe I'm just that much of a hater, I don't see the value in Rudy Gobert at that level. I personally think we need to look more at guys like Herb Jones, Ryan Dunn, Keldon Johnson, Ron Holland, very solid wing defenders that should be what I think is in the market for Rudy Gobert. Again, if attaching picks to Rudy Gobert gets us a Jaylen Brown, 100% do that and scrap this. But I think that that's potentially just like rumors that are overinflated. I think realistically we can get Herb Jones and maybe a player for Rudy Gobert, Herb Jones a couple picks for Rudy Gobert, something like that. I really think that a very switchable wing is somebody that we should add that can kind of come in and replace Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And it's not that we completely missed him this year, but we definitely missed him a little bit, especially considering that he went on to win the most improved player. And so once you trade Rudy, it leads me into number 2, which is commit to Johan Berger's development. I think he showed some flashes in some of the games that we got him some minutes, but this is pretty self-explanatory. I think he has the potential to be like a Rudy Gobert type, maybe not as good at his peak, but can play a very similar role. But we're only paying him $4 million versus Rudy Gobert, we're paying $36 million. Again, I think we will lose some production on both ends of the floor, especially next year, but I think for the long term, that is the better play. And you bring him in, it does seem like he was eventually going to be a Gobert replacement. I think we commit to potentially being weak at center next year, but that is going to be better for us, better off. I do believe in his development as our potential starting center, or at least a very good role player moving forward. I think we commit to that. And again, maybe he doesn't necessarily start, but gets a very solid role, and it's clear that he is the replacement for Gobert. Once we move on, potentially we just go small and play Nas maybe at the 5. Not that that makes us extremely small, but more versatile. Again, I think it's just the way we need to go. Number 3 on my list is get a real second option for Anthony Edwards. If some of those Gobert trades are on the table, I think we go ahead and take any of those, but use Julius Randle, use Dante DiVincenzo, and use some picks and empty out anything we can get to get a very solid second option for Anthony Edwards. I'll get into some caveats with what I mean by empty out the roster. We're connected to rumors to guys like Kyrie Irving. I think that'd be a very great player to pick up as Ant's second option. I think he is in the budget with those 3 guys that I mentioned. Kawhi Leonard, there's some controversy around him. LA might be wanting to move on from him. I think Kawhi could come in and be not only a very solid vet for this team, but an extremely solid second option behind Anthony Edwards as well. And then the Giannis rumors. If we can get Giannis, I think that potentially makes Ant the second option, but those are two of the best players in the NBA. I think that is a very solid duo. But my caveat to that is number 4, protect J-Mac and Naz Reid in all trades, no matter what. Jaden McDaniels is rumored in all these trades. And if we trade these two specifically, Jaden McDaniels for Giannis, first of all, as a fan, like these are two of the fan favorites. Do not trade your fan favorites. I don't think it works out long term. But you're really destroying like the true core of this team. We've kind of built a core around Ant, Naz, J-Mac. I mean, you could throw like Mike Conley in there. Gobert is probably in there at this point, but he's always in those rumors and seems like a guy that potentially, if we need to shake the core, he's leaving. But you have some core players here that if you trade them, that's a large shift in this franchise. And I don't think it makes us better if you destroy the core to trade for one player as great as Giannis is. The problem with trading for Giannis is I don't see us getting out of the trade without trading Jaden McDaniels because he is so valuable. I personally would not want us to go get Giannis. I'd rather get us a Kyrie, a Kawhi. Again, if those like Jaylen Brown, LaMelo Ball trades are on the table, potentially go get those guys over trading very important pieces of our core for a singular player. I just don't like condensing your talent into 2 players in that style. I would rather we kind of get rid of a lot of depth pieces and bring in Giannis and we trade 5 players again instead of 2 of our very good best players in our core. And then number 5, it's re-sign Ayo Dosunmu and Bones Highland. I think that these 2 are very important. I think that's very obvious, especially Ayo Dosunmu in this playoff run. Between these 2 and Anthony Edwards, I think even if you can't make a move to get a point guard, you have enough talent there to have a short-term solution at point guard. Potentially could draft somebody with your pick that can be a point guard, develop into a future starting point guard. But I think there's enough talent on this roster to have enough point guard play that we can run it back at the point guard position. I think it's where our bigs are that we need to make changes. So this is, I think, the 3rd year I've done this. I think every year I've said trade Rudy Gobert. I'm really hoping this is the offseason we do it. Again, I know that he's a very talented player. It's just in the modern basketball, it drives me nuts when we play games and he cannot be switchable outside of the paint. And with the way the West specifically has gone, it's going to be hard for us to beat the Spurs and the Thunder if we have a guy out there that you can't switch. So I think there is value there. I don't know if it's Jaylen Brown value, but I think there's definitely value out there for Rudy Gobert. And I think we can capitalize on because he did have a very good playoff run. But what are your thoughts on all of this? Do these changes make enough of a difference for the Timberwolves to now be a top dog and continue to be a contender in the West? Let me know your thoughts below. Subscribe if you're new. And on that, I'm out. Peace.